Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. Tonight's episode comes from BigThink.com, and the headline is Fast Superhighway Through the Solar System Discovered. Scientists find routes using arches of chaos that can lead to much faster space travel. It was written by Paul Ratner, and it was published December 10th, 2020. Researchers discovered a route through the solar system that can allow for much faster spacecraft travel. The path takes advantage of arches of chaos within space manifolds. The scientists think this celestial superhighway can help humans get to the far reaches of the galaxy. Humanity could be making its way through the solar system much faster, thanks to the discovery of a new superhighway network among space manifolds. Don't get your engines roaring along this celestial autobahn just yet. But the researchers believe the new pathways can eventually be used by spacecraft to get to the outer reaches of our solar system with relative haste. The celestial highway could get comets and asteroids from Jupiter to Neptune in less than a decade. Compare that to the hundreds of thousands or even millions of years it might ordinarily take for space objects to traverse the solar system. In a century of travel along the new routes, a 100 astronomical units could be covered, project a scientist. For reference, an astronomical unit is the average distance from the Earth to the Sun, or about 93 million miles. The international research team included Natasha Todorovic, Dee Wu, and Aaron Rosengren from the Belgrade Astronomical Observatory in Serbia, the University of Arizona, and UC San Diego. Their new paper proposes a dynamic route, going along connected series of arches within so-called space manifolds. These structures, coming into existence from gravitational effects between the Sun and the planets, stretch from the asteroid belt to past Uranus. The most pronounced of these structures are linked to Jupiter by its strong gravitational pull, explained UC San Diego's press release. They influence the comets around the gas giant, as well as smaller space objects called centaurs, which are like asteroids in size, but exhibit the composition of comets. This animation shows space manifolds over 100 years. Each frame of the animation shows how the arches and substructures appear over 3-year increments. So let's go ahead and watch this animation and see what this looks like. Okay, so that is the animation, and essentially what that is showing is the different space manifolds and how they move. Space manifolds act as the boundaries of dynamical channels, enabling fast transportation into the inner and outermost reaches of the solar system, write the researchers. Besides being an important element in spacecraft navigation and mission design, these manifolds can also explain the apparent erratic nature of comets and their eventual demise. The researchers discovered these structures by analyzing collected numerical data on the millions of orbits in the solar system. The scientists figured out how these orbits were contained within known space manifolds. To detect the presences and structure of these space manifolds, the team employed the Fast Lyapunov Indicator, FLI, used to detect chaos. The scientists ran simulations to compute how the trajectories of particles approaching different planets, like Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, would be affected by possible collisions and the manifolds. While the results are encouraging, the next step is to figure out how these arches can be used by spacecraft for much speedier travel. It's also not clear how similar manifolds work near Earth. Also unclear is how they impact our planet's run-ins with asteroids and meteorites, or any of the man-made objects floating up in space near us. Check out the new paper, The Arches of Chaos in the Solar System, in Science Advances. And that is the end of the article. Now, in this article, you got a lot of very complex and technical language. You've got an animation that probably makes zero sense to anybody. So it's all very impressive and it's all very official sounding, but what the hell does it mean? That's the bottom line here. What the hell does this mean? I'm going to try to simplify and break this down for you in fairly simple and fairly easy to understand terms. Essentially, what you have here is exactly what they said, a superhighway. Think of it as like the jet stream that air travels through, or like the current of a river or the ocean currents. That's essentially what we're talking about here. It's current that is formed because of the gravitational pull of different planets. It's essentially the highway that these comets and asteroids and stuff are taking to go around the solar system. So the general idea here is if we can figure out a way to access this superhighway, this interstate system, okay? If we can figure out a way to get our spacecraft into that current, then that current will pull that spacecraft along much faster than we're able to propel it ourselves. And it can cut the travel time down considerably. That's the basic idea of what they're talking about. Now, if you watch a lot of science fiction, I'm sure that you've heard in like Star Trek or Star Wars or things like that, you've heard about how they will use planets to slingshot. Essentially what that is you are entering the orbit of the planet, and you will be orbiting around the planet, and the planet's own gravity will hold you in that orbit. So you're able to use that orbit to pick up a lot more speed and then zip off into space when you come out of that orbit at a much higher rate of speed than you entered it at. That is part of this idea here of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making our way into this current using the gravitational pull of the planet, such as, let's use Jupiter for example, because Jupiter's the big boy in our solar system. Next to the sun, Jupiter is the second largest object in our solar system. So it's going to have the biggest gravitational pull. So say we approach Jupiter and we get into Jupiter's orbit. Now we're going to be able to use that massive gravitational pull and that orbit to flip around Jupiter and speed off. Now, this current is going to flow from one planet to another. It's going to loop around the planet and keep on going. So if we can get into this stream, this current, this highway, then we can go super fast. And we can get from point A to point B, which point B could be the outer edge of the solar system, in like a decade or more, where it could take hundreds of years. That's the general idea of what they're going to try to do. Now, can they do it? Not yet. Will they be able to do it? Probably at some point. The theory is sound. The science is there. The math adds up. We just haven't figured out exactly how to do it yet. But I believe that will come. Now, I've oversimplified the explanation of what they're talking about doing, and there's a lot of variables here that we have not discussed, and frankly, variables that we don't even know about yet, honestly, because we haven't even figured out how to do this. So there's going to be a lot that's left out of this. But my explanation is a very, very simplified version of what they're attempting to do here. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this article. I thought it was rather interesting. Let me know down in the comments what you think of it. And if you think that they're going to be able to pull this off, I believe they will. As always, thank you for listening. I greatly appreciate you, and I will catch you on the next one. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye bye.